Hello and welcome to the Critically Clueless. I'm the Monk, and today we are in Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires, and today's video is all about kingdom management. So I just done a video all about being a vagrant, getting a vagrant force, and becoming a kingdom, becoming your very own kingdom. And this video is pretty much picking up from there to when you actually have your kingdom, how you are supposed to correctly manage it, and of course go through the game, because kingdom management is a massive part of this game. And if you don't know a couple of the small little things early on, your kingdom's going to really suffer. So hopefully this video is going to answer any questions you might have about kingdom management. I'll try and be as thorough as I can. Of course, if I miss anything or you guys have any questions of your own, don't forget to pop that down in the comments down below, and I'll either try and comment back. I'm sure one of the other viewers might comment back, or failing that, I can just make a whole another video answering your question. And of course, if you are into Dynasty Warriors and want to see more videos just like this, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps us out so much, helps build the audience for Dynasty Warriors. We also have an active and growing Discord, so if you want to come in and chat about this game or any other game you may be playing, the link will be down in the description. But enough of all of that, let's get into what actually matters. So we're going to start off on our War Council, and of course right at the beginning you have something called a Kingdom Policies. This is where you basically set out what's important to your kingdom right now, and depending where your kingdom is at, you're going to be putting these 4 points in different places. Now, first of all, we have domestic affairs. Now, putting a point here raises the domestic importance to the people that serve you. They will gather resources and develop territories based on how much importance you put into domestic affairs. So if you look at the resources that I currently have, if you look underneath my army, you can see how much money I've got, how much rations I've got for my armies, how much I've got coming into my kingdom, and as you see, I'm actually in a negative here, and then how much rations are coming into my kingdom based on the territories that I own. So for me and my kingdom, putting extra points into domestic affairs is really what I need for my kingdom, and so putting 2, 3, or even 4 points in here until I manage to balance those books would actually be a really good idea. Next up, we have human affairs, and this will raise the importance of your current officers, recommended unaffiliated officers for you to interact with. So going on a stroll and talking to both your officers and unaffiliated officers is incredibly important. You need to have good relationships with your officers for a start, and you need to be able to get new officers into your kingdom. And those random officers that you see pop up are 9 times out of 10 related or brought in by the officers that currently serve you. So the more importance you have here, the more officers unaffiliated are going to be showing up for you to interact with. Next up, we have diplomacy. And this is very much the same as the last few. The more points you put here, the more likely you are to get offered an alliance this time with a different kingdom. Now, alliances you can actually seek out yourself. You don't need to put a point here, but if you put points here, you're more likely to get an alliance offered to you within the time frame of this current War Council. And lastly, we have military affairs. Now, this one will raise the importance with your officers again to train new troops. Now, if you have just been in a battle, or if you have just defended your kingdom, the chances are your current troop count is going to be low. Your officers will replenish your troops, but the more points you put here, the quicker they are going to do so. Once again, all of this really depends on where your kingdom is at currently. For me personally, I need domestic affairs because I need to get that under control first. After that, again, you can of course plan your invasions if you want to take over new territory. This is based on where your kingdom is currently located. However, you can't just go off to the far corners of the country and take over that state. You need to be expanding from your current position on the map. And after that, you come up to the political objectives. Now, this is one of the most important parts of the game, of your game, whether you want to be kingdom management or not, because merit earned is basically experience for your officer, for your ruler, or whoever you're currently playing as. The more merit you earn, the quicker you will level up, meaning you'll be more powerful on that battlefield. So I would recommend picking things you know you can actually achieve within those 6 months. Obviously, look at where your kingdom's at, what it needs, and where you can in line with getting the most amount of merit as possible, because you always want to be getting the most amount of merit at the end of your 6 months. But of course, what you have to pick and what you will pick will definitely vary from game to game from every 6-month period. Next up, let's look at domestic affairs. Now, there are a few things different that you can do here based on the titles that you currently possess, or the title that you currently have. Certain titles will give you different things that you can perform each and every month. So keep that in mind. Something I would say to anyone starting out a brand new game or have just got a young kingdom, don't neglect your commercial and agricultural development, because the higher you have these, or the more that you invest time into these things, the more income you're going to be getting every month. As you can see, if I perform the agricultural development right now, this will increase the ration intake within the territory that I choose by 200. And of course, you can do this for every single territory that you actually own. And although when I am starting out and I am, say, for instance, serving a lord, pillaging and great pillage, I absolutely love. I do this all the time. It's a great way to get easy money. And of course, it's a great way to get my evil stats up. But remember, if you're doing it to your own kingdom, you're going to be severely harming your defenses. So think about that before you actually kind of pillage your own states. It's definitely something that I wouldn't advise. But developing your agricultural and your commercial income, definitely do that. As you saw, that my kingdom is suffering quite bad. But if I constantly develop my commercial income, slowly that is going to begin to increase. Now, it should also be noted that you can only do this so many times. You can't constantly develop one thing and get that one stat up. There is a cap on that. But remember that the more territories you own, you can do it on every single territory that you own. Of course, if you do only own one territory, then you are going to hit that cap. So what I would advise is making sure you don't have too many officers, because for every officer that is under your control, that's going to be eating away at the money coming in. So where you're looking at my kingdom currently, I have too many officers and an underdeveloped commercial development. But as you can see, finally, my kingdom is now in the plus. Once you are in the plus on all your little incomes, the game does get a lot easier, and it's a lot easier to actually manage month by month, because don't forget, you can normally only perform one action per month. That does limit you, so make sure that if you get this under control early, you then have a little bit more leeway every month to do extra things within your kingdom. So moving on next to human affairs. First off, we have appointments. I actually find that appointments is something that I neglected for a little while in my first one. This is where you can actually assign your officers certain roles within your kingdom. Exile, obviously, you can take certain officers out, and relinquish basically means you're giving up your kingdom to somebody else. Change positioning is one that I wish I knew earlier in the game. Basically, you can change where your officers are stationed. So if you have one state with, say, only 5 officers defending it, and you have one state with 10 officers defending it, you can move those officers from the overstocked state into the state that needs extra protection, and from there you can really manage your defenses of your kingdom. It helps out so much knowing that you can do it, and it's really simple as well. You simply select the officer that you want to send into a different kingdom, and hey presto, you are done. I quite like this because it's also another way to see every single officer you've got, the kind of army that they're packing as well. So it's just an extra little thing, making sure that you've got enough infantry, archers, and cavalry in each state as well, because having a good mix is definitely advisable. Moving back to appointments really quickly, as you can see, we can appoint a grand general, a tactician, or just generals. I find that, or I've personally found that actually appointing certain officers into those positions also means that they're less likely to leave you. I did have someone comment a while ago asking, how do you stop officers leaving you and leaving your kingdom? Well, management over your relationships is an absolute must. They need constant care. If you get 1 or 2 people up to S rank, you'll find that in time, with no interactions, that they will slowly begin to lose relation with you. So appointing them to a general, tacticians, that sort of thing, it helps keep them in your kingdom for longer. Moving on to diplomacy, as you can see, we can form an alliance, which can be really helpful. I did say earlier that you can do this without actually putting points into it. Putting points into it does help. But yeah, you can form different alliances with anyone on the map, regardless of their position. Obviously, there are a few things that definitely help for this in regards to kingdom size as well. If you're trying to form an alliance with somebody who's bigger than you, badder than you, and you have no relationship with, then you're not going to get a favorable deal. It's probably not going to happen. You do get a percentage chance, which I quite like, so you can kind of see beforehand your chances of making this deal actually work. And you can talk to the different officers within each kingdom as well. So having a high relationship with somebody could come in very beneficial. But as you can see, if we target someone who is around our same size, we actually have a greater success rate because this kingdom kind of sees us as peers. Moving on to military affairs. Military affairs is another good one for certain things. Recruitment can be very good. Again, if you have just been in a war, just been defending, your troop count is probably down. Doing a recruitment, a great recruitment. Obviously, a few of these things may not be here for you. They're here for me because of my playthrough, where I am, the titles that I currently have. But yeah, training is also a good one because you can actually give your officers levels and bolstering them up. So I wouldn't neglect training, and especially early game, and recruitment's really good for stocking up the troops within your armies that may be lowered. The good thing is when you go to actually do a recruitment, you can actually see who in your army is currently missing troops. Next up, of course, we have the battle tab. From here, you can defend whichever state that is currently being invaded, or of course, you can invade a state of your own. And you can pick based on where you are currently in the map. I did mention that earlier. And then when you do so, you can see just the defending army that you're going to be up against, and then you can pop in the army that you want to be using to make the attacks. However, this is based on the rations that you currently have. I cannot send in 15,000 troops because currently I don't have 15,000 rations to send along with them. So the more rations you have, the more you're going to be able to send in battle. So keeping a high ration count is a great idea, especially when planning a war. Making sure that you are stocked up beforehand is going to ensure that you're actually able to continue the war or wage it in the first place. And of course, throughout this video and throughout all of my other videos, I have mentioned just how important it is to manage your relations with your officers, with unaffiliated officers. And it's here that you will do so. Within your stroll, you can interact with whoever you have around you. And it's just really important not to neglect your relationships. I know early game it may not seem important, but late game, it's going to be absolutely imperative you have these high relationships. It's also here that you can get married and, of course, have your sworn siblings as well. And that is it, guys. That is the basics of kingdom management. Hopefully, I covered everything that you may have questions about. Hopefully you discovered something new as well. If you have, don't forget to hit that like button and of course subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions whatsoever that maybe I didn't already cover, please feel free to drop them in the comments. I will do my best to answer each and every one of them back. And if I don't do it, if I don't have the answer, I will try and find you the answer, or I'm sure one of the other viewers will pop in the comments for me, because they have already done that. It's really appreciated. So a big thank you to you guys. But until next time, guys, I've been a monk and we've been a Critically Clueless, and I'll see you in the next video real soon. Until then, take it easy.